Lightning like Steve McQueen. I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit. Cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly. Better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder. And I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
This episode is brought to you by SPI Logistics, the premier freight agent logistics firm in North America. For over 40 years, SPI has been diligently building the most successful freight agent network to provide first-class relationships for our shippers, receivers, and carrier partners. We are more than another transportation network. We are a dedicated team of professionals united by one singular purpose, and that is to expedite our agents' success. All of our agents are set up for success on day one, as they are provided with a full suite of support staff that is ready to assist them with everything from after-hours emergencies to financial and administrative needs on a no-fee basis. This way, you can focus on continuing to grow your business. There is no financial risk to start, and you have the ability to earn up to 75% in commissions. If you are looking to take control of your financial future and build your business with the backing of one of the most successful logistics firms in North America, visit www.spi3pl.com to learn more. Do me a favor and let them know that the Freight Coach sent you.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Podcast, the top podcast in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines. But most importantly, you guys provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. And I say that before every single show. And what I mean by that is I only speak with transportation professionals, because at the end of the day, you guys, I want to talk to the right individuals who have done what you're looking to do or who are currently doing what you're trying to achieve. So you can take that information, apply it, utilize it, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. Happy 2025, everybody. Sonny Sharma, good morning, Orange Shirt Gang. He's coming in over on YouTube. Corey Buchan, happy new year, everyone. He's coming in over on YouTube as well, you guys. I go live on YouTube and LinkedIn. I'm trying to get everybody to migrate over to YouTube, you guys, because I've just been told exponentially that the stream quality is better over there and everything else. So if you guys want to migrate over there, just look for the Freight Coach on there. And if you jump on there, do your boy a solid and subscribe. Out. Steve Setka, the gang is back. No BS, actual application of the information. And that is 100% what we are going to be talking about today, you guys. I mean, but before we do that, as always, I got to put that out. Our newsletter is returning next week. Every single Wednesday, we drop that out, you guys, and we just feature an episode, just some of the top talking points of that episode. We're going to be adding to that in the new year. We're going to be putting some more information out there, you guys, because I've been doing a lot of research on it, and a lot of people like to read the newsletter. Some people don't like to tune in. And again, it's just going to be all data-driven and factual-based information about what people do in the industry and how you can apply a lot of these tools going on out there. And one more thing before we jump in, you guys. Welcome my friends over at Revenova to the show, ladies and gentlemen. They are right down there. Revenova is they're the actual TMS that I use inside of my business, and they are the official TMS partner of the Freight Coach now and moving forward, you guys. I'm very, very excited about this. We'll be talking about that more here going on. But if you guys notice that at the bottom of the screen, it's official, it's happening, and I could not be more excited about it. And we'll talk more about that here in the coming days. But I just wanted to bring that out, and I'm just really, really pumped up about that. But, you know, here we are, you guys. It's January 2nd, and I know this week, you know, is still the holiday hangover, right? Like January 6th is when things are probably going to start picking up. I mean, we had a couple of shipments that we moved out there. We got one picking up tomorrow. We had one that delivered this morning, i.e. my friends over at Green Screens, you guys, FYI, predicted the rate almost to the dollar on what we actually paid for it for our customer. So just, you know, take that into consideration, you guys. The people who advertise on my show, and especially with Green Screens, you guys, I actually use them every single day. And it helped out with that one for sure. But, you know, how you're taking this time to really reassess where things are. And, you know, I've had 2024 overall for me was probably the most transformative year of my life. If I'm being completely honest, from a personal standpoint, professional standpoint, a lot of things happened last year that I truly feel like for 2025 for me on a professional level, um, the pieces have kind of fallen into place for really what we're going to do. And I'm going to talk about that today because, the topic of today's show is building a system to follow. And it's very easy to get caught up in where you're not, most importantly, right? At least me, for a very long time, I was always overly consumed about where I wasn't and not paying attention to what I needed to do next to kind of progress myself forward. And it's a lot, and like I said, like this last year was a very formative for me. And yeah, I was just about to say this. If you follow me on Instagram, you might have noticed the thirst trap I posted yesterday. But it was about this. Sonny, I appreciate that. I completed this program called Live Hard. And if you are unfamiliar with Live Hard, I want you to research it. Just 75 Hard. It is, in my opinion, the greatest program to have ever been created. I truly feel like 75 Hard and the Live Hard program is the cheat code that everybody's looking for in building their business or their book of business or whatever you want to call it out there. And most importantly, though, like with your personal health as well. Because just like with a lot of people, I've struggled with my health for the overwhelming majority of my life. And I've had, weight fluctuations. I've been obese for the majority of my life. I mean, 5 years ago, I was 245 pounds. And this is the first year that losing weight isn't on my my goals for the year list, right? Because like I'm in pretty good fucking shape right now, you guys. And it's one of those things now where a lot of the realization came as I was completing the Live Hard program. Phase 3 in particular is what you have to complete in the last month of your calendar year that you start. So if you start May 1st of 2024, you would finish May or April 30th of the 2025, for example, right? So it's a full calendar year and you follow this. And phase 3 to me was by far the most challenging phase of it because there were so many tasks that were out there. But that's when it really, really clicked for me about the true purpose and intent of the program. And it is always, no matter what, because those were the first times that I had felt kind of overwhelmed for a few of the days because there was so much stuff. Like I start my day super early because I like to get a workout in before I go to work. But I wasn't finishing the tasks for the day until sometimes like 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. And it was a lot. And then like what I was talking about was where it started to click for me is I was still thinking about the next day during that time. And I was like, no, fucking stop. You need to just worry about today. You need to just worry about the tasks at hand. And you need to stop over complicating what you're actually trying to do. And I had showed this book the other day as well. And again, I would highly recommend you guys all buy this book and read this book right away. It's Beyond Entrepreneurship 2.0. So the combination of reading this book and completing Live Hard has truly changed the trajectory of how I am going to attack a lot of everything going forward. And, then just a lot of things started to make sense for me. I looked at it as, I'm going to talk about like some personal shit here for a second and dropping weight, right? Like, again, I struggled with all of that stuff and, I'm down like 65 pounds in 5 years. And, now I'm looking at it as if I would have just focused on how much weight I had to lose, as opposed to why don't I just focus on what I need to do to lose 5 pounds? I feel like I could have got it done a lot sooner, but again, everything happens for a reason. And now I feel like I'm on the right path with that. And, whether it is, as you're going up here to set up a system for you to follow this year, I personally, would only focus on what's, like, yes, you have your big goals, but what do you have to do to achieve the next step in progression, right? So what I mean by that is if you're out there and you were like me and you're like, I got to drop like 65 pounds here. Focus on just the next 5 pounds in that, right? Focus on the next 5 pounds and what you have to do to actually achieve that goal without losing sight of where your long-term goal is. Like, what's the system that you need to follow? And again, if you're talking about health and fitness, 75 Hard is the ultimate program for anybody to follow. It is simple. It's just not easy overall. And that's the best I could do to describe that thing. 75 Hard is simple. It is not easy, but it gives you, but it's all about breaking everything down into simple, repeatable steps that you can follow every single day. And, so it's like when I was going in there and I was setting up my plan for 2025 in my business, naturally, I had always focused on where do I want to grow overall in my business throughout the year. And this year, my business partner and I, we broke it down to be like, all right, we broke it down into digestible bites. We're not going to worry about the rest of the year until we achieve the next step in our long-term vision, right? So we put together a plan and a framework that we are both going to follow throughout that time to achieve that next step in business progression. Because I could sit here and worry about where I'm not in business, right? Because I say my big, massive goal that I have, and that's to build the largest transportation company in North American history that fundamentally changes the entire industry. That is my long-term goal. But I was looking at it in 12-month terms as opposed to like, that's a 40-year-old goal, right? Like that's what 60 and 78-year-old Chris is working for. But today, for me to get to that next level, I need to focus on what do I have to do to kind of inch that progression forward. So we've built that system out that we are going to follow and focus on that every single day. And, social media today in every day is a giant distraction, right? It's a ton of highlight reels. It's a ton of people just out there talking shit, posting numbers, whether they're real or not, and everything else is, but ultimately it's all irrelevant because that's not you, right? And that's one thing that I would highly, highly recommend people focus on this year is stop paying attention to what other people are posting from the sense of like their results and everything else, and then comparing yourself to where you're not, because you don't even know if they're fucking being truthful or not. And if social media is anything, if there's anything I know about social media, you guys, 99.9% of it is bullshit and lies. All right. I'm just going to leave it at that. It's all bullshit and lies but then ultimately though, what effect does somebody else's business's results have on you? Yes, some of it could teach you some things, but ultimately you got to focus on where you are. And that is one thing that I am really, really hyper focused on in 2025. I don't care how other people are performing this year from a sense of like, from a comparative standpoint. I only care about where am I today and how do I get a little bit better every single day. That's all I'm concerned about this year. I don't give a shit what companies are in the top 100 or anything like that. I'm only concerned about my company's and my business's progress, and that's it. And what do I need to do every single day to get to that next step? There's the old saying, comparison is the thief of all joy. And it's a very real thing. And this is a lot of what is kind of coming to my mind. And what came to my mind over these last 30 days is really like, I just got to stop paying attention to what other people are doing and saying and really focus inward on where am I as a business owner? Where am I in my health and all of that? And what do I have to do to move the needle forward for me? And that's all I'm going to focus on. And I would highly recommend a lot of you take stock of where you are as well. Because again, if any of you are anything like me, it's easy to get caught up in where you're not. And you really, really, really lose sight of what you've actually achieved and how capable you truly are in whatever field that you're in. And that is something that, I had heard that, again, on another podcast that I listened to, and it was a guy, he's young. I mean, it's Nick Bear is his podcast, BPN, Bear Performance Podcast. And he was talking about, because he was recently hit by a car, and this dude's a stud, right? Really good shape, everything. He was hit by a car and a lot of perspective shifted. And he was describing something in one of those episodes that really resonated with me a lot too, is how I'm going about my life is I wasn't actually appreciating what I've done and what I've built and how that was negatively affecting my life, right? Because again, it's easy to get caught up in all the fake Lambos that people drive and all these results that other people are supposedly having out there in the world, and then comparing your life to it. And then you lose sight of what you've actually been able to do, what you've actually been able to achieve. Where are you currently, right? And I know that there's a bunch of stuff out there in regards to this, but I really, really, really want to challenge everybody to be honest with themselves, right? What are some changes that you actually want to make this year? But then compare them to where you are after, each quarter, right? Quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, quarter four, and hold yourself to that. And it's like, yeah, cheer for other people's success if they're truly succeeding. I want everybody to win, but ultimately, other people's results do not move my needle forward. And so I'm going to very much intrinsically look towards that and following that plan. And, again, to tie in 75 hard and live hard and everything else is the statement of it's simple, it's not easy. It's like, you know what, maybe your big goal is I want to make more sales calls this year, right? And I've talked about how to implement. I forget what episode number it is, but it was in December where I talked about, focusing on how do you get in there, and how, like, maybe you're only making 40 calls a day right now. Maybe that's all you can make, and you want to bump that up to 50. What do you have to do to free up your time to put that additional work in there, right? And then it's really following those steps day in and day out and holding yourself to that outreach every single day, no matter what, regardless of your feelings. And that is where 75 hard really, really, really is worth its weight in gold. Is I didn't feel like doing the outdoor workouts I didn't feel like doing a lot of shit a lot of the time, but I did it no matter what, right? Because I've been working really, really hard because I had that big goal, right? Like I've already talked about my health issues on this show, and I'm not here to talk about me right now, but I had that goal of like, I had to do this because I have to achieve that for myself because I know the alternative of it, right? And if you're out there really trying to say like, how do I improve myself, right? So you just got to start. Okay. Maybe you're not even making sales calls right now, but your email outreach isn't working. And I'm not going to talk about that today, but I would argue that cold calling is 100% more effective than cold email outreach, but I digress. So say you've had that realization as well, and you need to start with a number that you know you can hit every single day, a number that is going to get you a little uncomfortable. Maybe that number's 10, maybe that number's 15. I don't know. I'm not here to decide that number, but I'm just going to talk about that example for you. And then hold yourself to that no matter what. 15 cold calls a day, every day, no matter what, for the month of January. Maybe that's your goal. And then what you'll realize is as you continue to hold yourself accountable towards it, you realize like all the insecurities and all the stuff in your head is exactly that. It's all made up in your head. And what you realize is I can actually do this. I can achieve that next step in my business, in my career, whatever that is. You guys insert anything that's individually going through you right now for the application of what I'm saying here. And the thing is you cannot pay attention to where you're not. Okay. And that's the thing. You have to focus on the day. You have to focus on winning the day. And that's it. Right. Like I have my tasks that I'm completing for the day today, like a big thing for me, because I don't know. I got to do some stuff before I decide like what is the next step in my health, like where I'm going with it. But here's another thing. And again, you're going to hear me talk about Andy Frisella a lot because I have undoubtedly followed everything that guy has said from a business perspective and everything on his free content, and it's worked for me in my business. That's why I will always sit here and talk about this. And he has this thing, it's called the power list, right? And it's choosing your 5 critical tasks for the day that you're going to accomplish in your business to move the needle forward. And that's one thing that I'm going to be applying every single day in 2025 in my business is following the power list, right? So a big thing for me is going to be making more sales calls. I'm going to talk about that here. My big thing is to increase that to where it's like I'm going to make 45 cold calls every single day in January, working days, not on weekends. And then I'm going to increase that in February, right? So that's a very big thing for me in my business. Another thing inside of my podcast, for example, is I want to book more guests out in advance. So that's another critical task that I'm going to be following every single day is invite 2 guests on every single working day, because it, from a content perspective, for the direction that we go with our show, having people booked out in advance has really helped us out internally from a marketing perspective to make sure we have everything that we need for pre and post episode production. And again, I'm just going to be focusing on my daily tasks for today. And I would highly recommend that, again, choose a few things and focus on that. Stop trying to eat the entire pizza in one bite and focus on the next bite. As Portnoy says, one bite, everybody knows the rules. But ultimately, if you're anything like I am, I only focus on the big picture and I completely overlook the next step in the journey. And I just want to sit here and say, you guys, like there is a lot that is out there that can distract you, but all of it is truly, for the most part, it's truly irrelevant to you and your progress. And you got to really focus in on that saying, that it's you versus you, because it really is, ultimately it really is. Like I said, I want everybody to win, but nobody's going to do the work for me, right? Just like nobody put in all those workouts for me in 2024. I did that, right? I did all of that shit. I followed that program to a fucking T last year. And for me, that is now it's like the entire application of all of that stuff going in to 2025. And that's what we're going to do, right? So, a big push for me in 2025 from a content perspective, you guys, is as loud and obnoxious as others can get. I'm going to stay on my path and my trajectory. And my path and my trajectory has always been, and it will always be, to provide education and insight into the transportation industry. I'm going to continue to bring people of all walks of the industry onto this show to talk about best practices, current events, everything, to have this continue to be a resource for others. So they know, I might not be right, but they know that the intent behind this podcast isn't to stir controversy. It's not to get clicks or anything like that. It is truly just for people to come in, listen, apply what they hear, and see a meaningful difference in their life. And that's what we're going to continue to do. I'm not trying to be TMZ or a shock jock or anything like that. I know my mission. I know my strategy. I know what I need to do. And I'm going to continue to do that every single day. I truly feel that. And I'm going to do that. Like, again, I could probably short-term increase my engagement by talking some shit like others do, but I'm not going to do that, right? Because that's just not my path. That's not my journey. And that's just not me as a person, right? I want to let my results do the talking for me. But most importantly, I just want to help people. Fundamentally, when it boils down to it, you guys, that's all I want to do. I want to help people. I want to help people overcome the shit that I've had to overcome. And then a lot of my guests, when they come on and talk about their stories and their journeys, the shit that they've had to overcome, because maybe that's what you needed to hear that clicks for you, right? Just like the first time I heard Andy Frisella talk on his podcast, I'm like, oh, damn. I'm like, that's exactly what I needed to hear. And then I just heard that over and over and over and over and over again. And then it finally clicked, right? Like, and this isn't a quick fix. Nothing about what I talk about on this show is a quick fix or revolutionary. I am all about the fundamentals. I am all about the blocking and the tackling of transportation. As everybody out there, because, again, I'm not opposed to technology and AI and everything else, right? I don't want to be abundantly clear, but my business doesn't have the resources to invest in that. And I don't think dehumanizing the relationships out there is going to work out in the long run, right? To where I'm going to just focus on what I know how to do. And that's going to be to make more sales calls. As Sonny says, make calls and knock on doors. And that's one thing that I'm going to focus on. And I'm going to continue to talk about that as the year progresses, you guys. And, and that this is just what the Freight Coach podcast will always be. All right. So as other people and at pod, whatever it is, get loud about other shit, just know that this show is always going to be focused on the fundamentals of this industry, highlighting people in this industry and talking about it, because this show is for the 90% of the industry that gets 10% of the recognition. And I say that because, 90% of the industry is small business. 90% of the industry needs to, we got to like band together to put that stuff out there, because this industry is big enough for us all to succeed in. This industry is big enough for us all to grow in. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to continue to talk about best practices and do that, you guys, because that's my mission with this show. And, ultimately I'm also documenting my journey. So whenever they do the Netflix documentary on the freight coach one day, they got a bunch of shit that they can use out there. Sorry, I got to get caught up on some comments here. Linda said, so true. So much of what out there relative to people claiming success is not authentic. Yeah, I agree. Brad says, Linda, I truly believe 2025 will finally show a positive turnaround. Probably won't be huge, but an improvement over the last few years. And then Brad or Linda said, Brad, is your business interested in acquiring strategic logistics businesses? I don't always see all the comments because some of them don't filter in. Steve, the ribeye yesterday was phenomenal. That, and dude, that's like, well, that's the funny thing is I didn't even want to, when people complete a health program or anything like that, more times than not, they want to go like eat something bad. I didn't. I ate a full ribeye yesterday and I didn't weigh it out. And I felt so fucking good, man. I'm going to be honest, dude. That is exactly what I needed at that time. And I'm really looking forward to kind of buttoning it up. But that's going to be it for today, you guys. And again, build a system that you can follow every single day. Some days are going to be very awesome. Some days are going to be really shitty, and it's going to be the last thing you ever want to do is to complete those tasks. But just when that happens, because it's inevitable, it's going to happen. The new year, new me, new hangover is all going to dissipate, and you're going to have to sit there, and you're going to, when it gets into that stuff, because again, I'm a human being. I have those moments too. When shit gets really challenging, I just focus on the next task in front of me. And if you can apply that for a very long time, I personally think you will find more success than you could probably ever imagine. But that's what I'm going to do, you guys. I'm going to focus on my business, the next step in my journey, and I'm going to continue to document it in the way that I do, to hopefully somebody hears this and they're like, damn, I want to try that. And then it works, because those are the messages I love the most are, hey man, I listened to your show. I applied what you said and it worked for me. That's what I do this for, you guys. I truly do, and I'm going to continue to do that. But that's going to be it for today. We got a guest coming on tomorrow, though, ladies and gentlemen. My good friend Mark Manera is coming back on because, again, new year, health, all that stuff, and Mark is a great resource for that. So we're going to talk about that. So as always, you guys, if you guys got value in what you heard, subscribe to the show, you guys. Share it out there to your network. Hit up my friends over at Revanova, you guys. Say hi to them for me. And as always, you guys, I appreciate you. I love you. And I'll be talking to you soon.